Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Narito na naman kayo sa Mangahas Interviews. Usapang pera at kabuhayan pa rin ang ating tututukan ngayon kasama ang incoming governor ng Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, ating board member ng Monetary Board at dekano dati ng UP School of Economics. May doctorate po mula sa Illinois na Northwestern University. Si Dr. Felipe M. Medalla. Magandang araw, sir.
Magandang araw din, Malu. Good to see you.
Ito ho, talagang tubong UP din, scholar ng bayan at dati rin hong Director General ng National Economic and Development Authority. Prof, yun ang tawag sa inyo ni President Era, no?
Oo.
Bakit ho kayo pinili at ba't nyo naman tinanggap itong pwestong ito?
Well, unang-una, I think talagang I'm just reading the situation as I saw it, no? Ang talagang gusto ni President-elect Bongbong Marcos makakuha ng very credible Secretary of Finance.
Okay.
Kasi napaka-importante yung Secretary of Finance. Tatlong napaka-importante parts ng gobyerno on economic issues. Silang tatlo walang tinitingnan particular sector. Kasi mahirap yung may tinitingnan sector. Kasi siyempre, farmers versus consumers.
Okay.
Kung agriculture secretary ka, farmers.
Opo.
Manufacturing firms versus agriculture. Secretary of Trade and Industry ka, manufacturing firms. Kailangan mo yung mga tao na tinitingnan na lahat ng sektor pag nag-iisip siya. Pero gusto mo yung tao na walang iniisip kundi sektor niya.
Okay.
Ngayon, ang nag-iisip lang ng tungkol sa buong ekonomiya at buong society, of course, Presidente ng Pilipinas, di ba? Itong tatlong taong ito na nabanggit ko sa iyo will be looking at the economy in the most holistic point of view.
All right.
You wish also that he always looks beyond the term of the president he serves. Kasi may issues. Sa Singapore, ang planning 20 years, 30 years. So ibang klaseng point of view. Hindi pwedeng what's good for the people in my term. He has to think institutions. He has to think country in the long run. But as Kay said, pag masyado pa naman long run, tepo ka. But in the long run, we are all dead. So you also have to take care of the present. That balancing between the present and the future is, we delegate that to elected officials. And in turn, elected officials delegate that to parts of the quote-unquote bureaucracy. At napaka-importante yung tatlo. Okay. Now, ano ang role ng central bank? Ang role ng central bank, fortunately, is the most carved out. Kasi kung ito ay NEDA, by the way, when I was in NEDA, I used to joke about myself. Tawag sa amin, oversight agency. Sabi ko sa mga kaibigan ko, kaya ako oversight agency because we overlook many things. Kasi sometimes, of course, kung lahat pakikalman mo, lahat na negative comment mo, yung sino pa kakausap sa iyo dun sa mga sectors, ano? Hindi ka makaka-coordinate. So, yun. So, in other words, ang aking assessment, nakikita ko, magaling yata yung balisakan, Magaling yata yung joke, no? Okay, hindi ko pa nakikita kung sino yung DBM, but I'm sure. By the way, experience ko nung nasa NEDA ko, at later on nung kasi busy ang governor, ako nag-a-attend ng mga NEDA committees for him. I have always been working with wonderful people. Sometimes may kanya-kanya silang quirks, pero in the end, they have some people use rougher language than others.
Okay.
In the end, they all, if the people I've worked with, they have the interest of the country at heart. Of course, they want to serve their president also. And they do balance them very, very well. Ngayon, sa central bank, napakadali kasi naka-carve. Hindi naman napakadali. Mas madali kumpara sa kanila. Kasi napaka-carve out yung aming
apel.
Ang aming apel. Ang tawag namin doon yung 3 pillars. 3 pillars, stable and low inflation at inflation according to target, strong and stable banks, and a payment system that's reliable. By the way, the third one is extremely important now because technology, may hacking, kung ano-ano. So yun, napaka-importante. And then on top of that, if you do all these 3 properly, you now have the luxury of asking, paano natin gagawin more inclusive ang ating ekonomiya? Paano natin gagawin more inclusive ang ating financial system?
All right. A week ago, ang sabi ninyo may 0 probability na baka kayo ma-appoint. Pero ngayon, naging malinaw nga nitong Huwebes, BSP Governor kayo incoming. So Sir Philip, may endorser ba kayo? Sino ang nag-search committee para makuha?
Yung kwento, no? Sabi sa akin ni Badwin, tumawag sa akin na papunta ako sa Binokbok Beach. Kaya for a while, wala akong contact. So, tinignan ko yung phone ko, may text from bed. Parang tinatawagan niya ako, hindi ako matawagan. So, tinawagan ko siya. Sabi niya, that was a Saturday. Sabi niya, okay ba, Philip, bigay ko yung pangalan mo as Secretary of Finance. Sabi ko, papatayin ako ng misis ko. Hindi naman. More or less along those lines. Sabi, magtulungan tayo. Later on, I figured out na actually, siya yung talaga nire-recruit. Naghahanap siya ng ibang pangalan na ibibigay.
Okay.
Which from hindsight is very, very human because, finance is one of the hardest given the current situation. Okay? So at any rate, hindi siya tumawag ulit. I had no sense of urgency at all whatsoever at that time. Tapos, usually, ang board meeting namin, monetary board meeting namin Thursday. Sabi niya sa akin, Philip, we went to another room. Gusto mo maging Bangko Sentral Governor? Sabi ko, may Bangko Sentral Governor eh. Hindi kasi sinabi ko sa presidente, mas magaan ang trabaho niya kung may confidence siya that the central bank will be well run. And I really am very grateful to him to take na it will be well run under me. So tinanggap ko. Sabi ko, sige, sabihin mo.
Okay.
So sabihin mo, I'm willing to serve your. Of course, by the way, under the law, ang appointment is he cannot appoint anybody beyond the term of the outgoing person.
That's right. 1 year.
So sa akin naman, okay, madali lang to kasi marami nang inumpisahan si Governor Joke na tama na kaya naman tama on top of his own skills, marami naman siyang just kina-carry over niya from Espinilla. And in turn, Espinilla was continuing a lot of things from.
All right. Sir Philip, ito pong cabinet na nabubuo ni Pangulong BBM, parang fusion menu ng mga cabinet members ni Cory, Erap, FBR at Duterte. Paano magiging kakaiba ang Marcos II administration given na may ganitong pool of talents na pinagsama-sama?
An even more interesting question is what is the difference between Marcos II and Marcos I?
Yeah.
And I think very different because the circumstances are very different. The president has to run the country with many while interacting with many independent institutions and persons. So it's both good. It makes it good because running the country is now coming from many voices. But it's also bad because that means we may be paralyzed by having too many voices. Okay, if you want to refer to a biblical example, you may have the biblical Tower of Babel. So so therefore, when you now look at the post Marcos Philippines, question dyan talaga is how you get the right policies.
All right.
And how to get the right coordination to get the best possible results, not just for the economy, but for the people. Because hindi porke magaling ang ekonomiya, magaling ang buhay para sa lahat.
Okay.
So it's important that you have an economy that is growing very high in a predictable way. The more predictable, the better. And it's at the same time quite inclusive. And that's not easy to achieve. And ang ating advantage sa Pilipinas is the great continuity of macroeconomic, monetary, and trade policy. Pag tinignan mo from Cory to us, it's a gradual evolution of everything. Okay, bigyan kita lang halimbawa. Dati, napag-emot natin sa fuel. Meron tayong oil price stabilization fund. Ang problema sa pondo na yun, it looks nice in practice, but it's terrible, in theory, terrible in practice. Because ang entire theory is, pag mataas ang presyo, huwag mo itatas masyado. Palugi ka. Pero pag mababa ang presyo, huwag mo rin bababa masyado para mabawi mo yung nalugi mo.
Okay.
Ang nangyayari, pag tumataas ang presyo, sinasalo ng gobyerno yung lugi. Pag bumababa, popular na ibagsak all the way, walang recovery. Bankrupt yung pondo. So Ramos changed that. Now, tapos, ang ating tax system, ang gulo-gulo. Nung ako estudyante na preparing my CPA exams, just understanding how to compute taxes, indirect taxes. Ang hirap kasi pagka-tax under Title 30, hindi deductible sa Title 3. Imagine, you need an expert just to compute all those little taxes. Na-simplify, naging VAT. Pagdating kay GMA, na-expand yung VAT, sinama ang kuryente, sinama ang gasolina, ginawan 12%. Okay. So, in other words, what you are seeing is a gradual evolution of everything, and so far for the better.
All right. Okay.
What a current administration, then an independent central bank was set up in I think 2000, 2001. Well, my summary is, let's give ourselves a little bit of credit. Our monetary fiscal system evolved in a non-disruptive way towards the better. Of course, we wish that those evolutions took half the time, but that's the very nature of democracy. Evolution is unpredictable, slow, but nonetheless, it was, if you look at it was more or less two steps forward, one step backwards.
Right. Okay. Prof. Philip, ang inyong appointment po, itong economic team na nabubuo, maganda ang pagtanggap ng mga bankers, ng businessmen at ng pangkalahatan. Pero sabi nila parang kayo yung bagong pool ng technocrats. Okay? At yung Marcos 1 admin, you mentioned it kanina, parang mahusay din naman yung technocrats pool pero na-overpower ng mga cronies at trapos. Paano hindi mangyayari muli yun sa inyong panahon?
Okay, my dear friend, Heidi Yorap, late Heidi Yorap, sabi niya, one of her favorite questions sa estudyante niya is, does Marcos make laws?
Okay.
Of course, the answer is yes. Presidential decree, batas. Letter of instruction, batas. Executive order, batas yun. And what we know from both economic theory and history is concentrating power makes the government more efficient in doing good things, and also more efficient in doing bad things.
All right.
So yan ang difference, no? Ngayon, kung you do something bad, ang daming makakakita at ang daming magreklamo.
All right.
Of course, gusto kong gawing mabuti, ang dami ring objector, ang hirap gawing mabilis. So, ako, I would rather take my chance on slow. And by the way, yung mga bansa na nag-shortcut, most of them naligaw.
Okay.
Ang aking favorite analogy, the Lord of the Rings. the ring will eventually corrupt you.
Okay.
So, I would rather have our system na ang daming mga bagay na kulang, sana mas mabilis sana ng konti, pero kaysa doon naman sa somebody very powerful na he has so much power, he can co-opt, and he either co-opts or terrifies everybody.
So sa tingin niyo walang ganong panganib na kasi usually ang tinitingnan ng mga tao mahusay yung economic team, yung political team at yung cluster no nung DILG parang medyo may problemadong appointees. Wala kayong pangamba na baka ma-overpower yung ating economic team ng mga political appointees sa ibang department.
Walang nangyayari.
Okay.
Kasi checks and balance, di puro checks.
Okay.
I can understand checks and balance because people have very different beliefs. But what if the checks and balances are being driven by pure economic lobbies?
Okay, all right.
Yun ang kailangan ma-manage kasi sometimes when you make changes that are good for the nation, may masasagasaan.
Okay, all right. So, Prof. Philip, ang sabi nila, ang problema natin ngayon katulad sa inyong trabaho dapat babalansihin yung interest rate, inflation rate, yung goals for job creation at saka sabi niyo nga trade policy. Pero ano sa tingin ninyo? Mukhang tila problemado ang bayan ngayon dahil mababa ang revenue collection na inaasahan, mataas ang utang panlabas na babayaran at mukhang yung inflation rate sumisipa ng at baka magkaroon kayo ng sabi ng ibang analyst, pagkakataon o pangangailangan na magtaas ng interest rate o yung cost ng pangungutang magiging mas mahal. Ano ang nasisilip ninyong outlook?
Okay, ang aking tingin ganito, no? Internal market forces and policies point to an inflation rate between 2 and 4%, which is the country. By the way, it's a target recommended by the central bank and approved by government. Hindi lang target ng central bank yan, target ng buong gobyerno yan. Ngayon, ang problema is external environment is doing two things that are very, what we call headwinds.
Okay.
Unang-una, bumabagal ekonomiya ng China because of COVID. So, baka bumagal din yung exports natin to China. Tapos, pag nag-recession ng Amerika, babagal din yung exports natin sa Amerika. So, pwede tayong ang ating ekonomiya pwedeng ma-slow down. Pero at the same time, ang maganda sa Pilipinas, pagka may periods na ang mga tao na pwersa hindi gumastos, meron silang revenge spending.
All right. Revenge spending.
Kasi, alam mo, hindi mo napalitan yung kotse mo for 2 years. Tapos because of, bibili ka ng kotse. Ang bibili ng kotse, may 2 years na walang bumibili ng kotse. Yung third year, ang dami bibili ng kotse.
All right. Sis.
Yung matagal nang hindi nakakapunta ng Boracay, wala itching to go. So you have this working in our favor. So, and right now, our policy rate is still quite low. In fact, for the inflation. So we have, even if we do increase it, mababa pa rin siya.
Okay. Manageable.
So, manageable. So, ang mas at saka at the same time, tinitingnan namin yung mga bangko, tinitingnan namin ang kanilang statistics, yung kanilang balance sheets. Bagaman sila ng COVID, dumami yung mga loans na hindi nagbabayad because of COVID, kayang-kaya nila absorb yung loss. Okay. Malaki ang kanilang capital, malaki ang kanilang loan loss reserves.
Okay.
So, fortunately, hindi natin, in other words, itong araw, Asian financial crisis, the weak balance sheets of the banks dragged down the economy. Ngayon, wala yung problema na yun. Okay, so there are many things going in our favor. Now, let me talk about things that are not going in our favor. Malaki utang. No? If I can remember correctly, the projected deficit for this year is 1.5, 1.6 trillion.
All right.
Pero yung makikinig mo, makikinig sa atin, ano ba yung trillion? 1.12 zeros. No? So, pero at the same time, ang laki na rin ekonomiya natin. At in my own calculation, if the economy grows at 7% consistently, hindi ganun kalaki ang financing. Bigyan kita ng very simple, but of course, because it's very simple, it's not completely accurate. So, utang natin ay 13 trillion. At ang deficit natin ay 1 trillion. Of course, hindi siya 1 trillion, no? Higher. Ang growth rate ng utang natin, 1/13,
Okay.
which is lower than 9%. Kung ang ekonomiya natin ay lumalago ng 7% in real terms,
6 to 7.
hindi, ang inflation natin ay 3,
All right. Ang economy is 7.
ang ekonomiya natin ay 9%. So, in that setting, kita mo, mas mabilis na lumago ang ekonomiya kaysa utang.
Okay.
Nakikita ng mga nagpapautang sa Pilipinas na bagamat hindi ganun kaganda ang katayo nila ngayon, in 5 years, 10 years, kayang-kaya nila bayaran ng utang. Ngayon, fiscal credibility, but fiscal credibility cannot be achieved without growth credibility.
All right.
Kasi dapat malakas ang paniwala ng merkado na ang ekonomiya ay lalago. At so sa akin, ang magic number maybe is 6. Pagka gano'n, ang mga buwis na kailangan natin, hindi ganun kataas. At ang focus natin siguro ay getting rid of the really bad leakages.
Okay.
And then, of course, avoid very weak administration.
All right.
Yung tendency to give away things. Example, and by the way, tells you how difficult this is politically. Nung nagpinasa yung batas na i-increase ang SSS benefits ng 2,000 pesos per month. Ang dami-dami dun sa retirees have not contributed more than 100,000 pesos their entire life. Bigyan mo sila ng 2,000 buwan-buwan. So therefore, yung contribution nila cannot pay for their retirement. Sino magbabayad doon? Ang Norway, very fortunate. They have the sovereign wealth fund na galing sa oil. Kasi napaka-wise nila, hindi nila ginagastos lahat yung kita ng oil. Nire-reserve nila for the future. Wala tayong langis. Ang ating exports ay tao. Therefore, talagang dapat there should be some amount of fiscal conservatism. At kung pwedeng maningil, rather than magbuwis, maningil.
Okay.
Mahirap na tanong yan. Ano? Okay. Dapat ba maningil pa to support, to operate the public transport system? The bus dapat full cost and fair. No?
Okay.
But then, subway, baka may partial subsidy because the subway at least reduces traffic for everybody. Public to subway. O teka muna, if the subway does not charge enough fare, but the subway makes the car driver better, because of the subway, mas maluwang na yung kalye, siguro naman yung may kotse dapat magbayad to pay for that. So yan mga ganyang issue.
Alright.
Kaya ako naniniwala ko na schools like UP should charge tuition. Ang tuition minabadi sa Ateneo High School, Lasal High School, bakit natin lilibre? Kaya yaman, ano? Yun yung mga issues na medyo mahirap. Of course, not everyone will be happy, but a decision has to be made. Kung sino dapat tamaan at sino dapat tulungan.
Alright. Fiscal conservatism, tsaka sabi nyo better tax admin, yung inyong naikwento. Pero parang maraming panukala na magpataw ng dagdag na buwis sa ilang mga sektor. Ano po? Yung motorcycle owners, yung digital service providers, yun yung mga bumibili ng ibang luxury goods. So kayo ho ba sa tingin niyo mababalanse itong taxes na to bago at dagdag para maayos ang ekonomiya?
Hindi naman siguro, mahirap dito, may sarili ako mga theories about taxation. Turo public finance. Ayaw ko pangunahan ng, believe naman ako kay Benjok, baka mas maganda yung alam niya kaysa akin. No? Pero ang tingin ko, regressive ang motorcycle.
Okay.
A tax that helps the economy but hurts the very poor. What's the point of a strong economy but to help the poor also?
All right. Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, bakit exempted ang pickups? Yung ibang pickups, mas luxury pa yan kaysa Corolla eh.
Exactly.
So yung mga loopholes na yan, dapat saran. The taxation should not depend on how you sold the product.
All right. Mhm.
Kung binenta mo sa market, sa department store, may tax. Binenta mo online, dapat may tax din, di ba?
Mhm. Okay.
Otherwise, you're in trouble. Pagka same things are taxed differently, just because they are sold differently, everyone will move to the differently.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay.
Yan ang mga reforma na maganda.
Mhm.
Ngayon, kadaran, ito medyo mahirap, pero it has a lot of science behind it. Ang problema natin, global warming.
Mhm. Exactly.
Ang nagbe-burn ng fuel relatively richer than those who don't burn fuel.
Mhm. Mhm.
Tax mo ng fuel.
Mhm.
Kaya may tatamaan yung tax of fuel. Pero kung maganda ang listahan mo ng mga tao na mahirap, let's say you know who the poorest 50% is, pwede mong bigyan ng cash grants.
All right. Okay. Now you talked about cash grants. May mga panukala na bayan bangon muli. Ano po? Na bagong ayuda program. Meron pang ongoing hanggang ngayon. Ayuda para sa public transport drivers, operators, at merong ayuda daw para sa mga mahihirap na mga households at mga nasa agrikultura, farmers and fisher folk. Ang ayuda ho ba sa tingin ninyo efficient use ng public funds at talaga ba tulong?
Depending on your goal.
Mhm.
For instance, farming has to be modernized.
Mhm.
Tayo contradictory tayo. We want the least educated and oldest among us to feed us.
Mhm.
Can you imagine? The average farmer is much older than the population. Ibig sabihin, ng mga anak nila ayaw maging farmer.
Okay.
Tapos yung kanyang farm, wala pang 2 hectares.
Mhm.
So yung graduate ng UP Los Baños would rather be a BPO employee than a farmer.
All right.
So that's why we have to modernize it. It has to be a business. Pero hindi you cannot just do that because paano yung tatamaan?
Mhm.
So, dapat dyan, may listahan ka ng mga farmers who are getting old and maybe as they get out of farming, give them some assistance.
All right. Okay.
Of course, the devil is in the details. Of course, pwede magkadayaan dun sa system na yon. Pwede inefficient, namatay na sa gutom bago siya nasama sa listahan. You have all these operational problems. Pero, in other words, it's hard work. But if with the right people and thinking about it and implementing it and learning from the experience of other countries, we can ask the World Bank, aling bansa ang successful? Magpadala ng mission dyan para pag-aralan at gayahin natin and so on and so forth. So maraming solusyon yan. Pero ang requirement is that, okay, some level of trust that, okay, we are in this together. Kung ano man ang pinanggalingan natin, let's have some consensus which are the things that are worth doing.
Prof. Philip, problema sa ayuda. Meron naman kabilang panig, mga naipangako ni candidate Bongbong Marcos. 20 pesos na bigas per kilo at ibabalik ang Oil Price Stabilization Fund. Kanina sinabi ninyo parang medyo inayos yun nung panahon ni FBR. May subsidy naman na requirement ang gobyerno kung bibigyan natin ng mababang halaga ng bigas at tatanggalin yung ibabalik yung Oil Price Stabilization Fund. Ano sa tingin niyo? Ito ba yung mga pangako na hindi mapapako? Kaya bang matupad?
Well, my view is maybe the objectives are good, but maybe if we refine the implementation, it will be better.
How? How could we?
Halimbawa, by the way, we're a country that taxes fuel, not subsidizing. And by the way, for that reason, nakakausap ko mga credit analysts, yung mga malalaking pondo na ang trabaho lang nila mag-invest ng pera sa government. Okay, sa lalaki ng pondo nila, they can afford these huge research teams, you know? And they say, we admire the Philippines, it taxes fuel. And it does not subsidize. Ngayon, ang style ng Pilipinas, tax fuel, piliin yung pwede bigyan ng subsidy to offset the tax. Effectively, we're not really subsidizing them. We're just being more selective on who will be exempted from the tax kasi may rebate sila.
All right.
Ngayon, so right now, that's being done. Now, the question is to what extent and how long? By the way, may isa pang positive effect yan. Makokontrol mo ang koloro. Tingin mo, sobrang dami ng jeepney, sobrang dami ng taxi, hindi yung bigyan mo lang ng subsidy, yung tamang number.
Yung mga rehistrado.
Oo. So,
Konti-konti po yung rehistrado.
So in the case of fuel, I think clearly a more targeted system is far superior to an oil price stabilization fund. Kasi ang finding nila sa Indonesia, 3/4 of the subsidy went to the most well-off. Naturally, maraming kotse. By the way, by the same reasoning, sa akin, okay na sa akin yung 40 pesos rice. Ngayon, so, in other words, there are many people to whom the difference, okay, a rich person whose family consumes 1 kilo of rice every day. By the way, kung talagang mayaman yan, baka hindi ko lang kumakain ng bigas halos kanin halos.
Pinapay.
Pinapay, no? Ano ba naman yung 20 piso per day? So dapat hindi siya i-subsidize. Pero yun naman nagugutom. Baka mas malaki dapat yung subsidy niya.
Alright.
Or even more than just the rice, because kung hindi sila kakakain ng ulam, di malnourished pa rin siya. Hindi sila kakakain ng malnourished pa rin siya. So my saying is that a more targeted one will be superior to 20 pesos. Okay, let's say 40 pesos yung cost. By the way, ito aking fear.
Opo.
40 pesos ang cost of rice, gusto mo yung 20. Ang gagastusin mo hindi 20, kundi maybe 30. Kasi may leakage may kupit.
Okay.
So to reduce the price by 20, you have to spend 30. And you end up subsidizing people who are not really asking for subsidies. Right. So my point is a little bit of hard work. We can identify. By the way, with the ID system, this is a fantastic time to do it.
Exactly. Inclusion, economic inclusion. Pero ang problema yung farm gate prices ng palay, talagang babagsak kung 20 pesos ang bigas.
Yeah, that's the other problem. Hindi, pero kung bumagsak man siya, the entire point is, sinasubsidize mo yung farmer, pinamura mo yung input niya, bawin niya yung pagbagsak ng presyo. Okay? So, that was, by the way, if God were running the country, He can do it. Okay, pipiliin mo talaga kung sino, bibigyan mo, pero kung ikaw ang Diyos, hindi ka mag-a-apply na maging civil servant, yun yung problema, so dapat talaga, you design systems that can be run by human beings. Alright. And have their own really beautiful nature also. The human being is a combination of all those things. May masama siyang parte, may maganda siyang parte. Huwag kang mag-design ng system na assumes na puro magandang parte lang.
Alright. At huwag lang para sa press release. Ano po? Pero anyway, tingnan natin yung credit rating ng Pilipinas. Ang sabi ni incoming Finance Secretary Benjok, gusto niya sana perfect A. Ngayon, BBB tayo. Okay, BBB na with prospect of growth, BBB with some concern, whether it's Standard & Poor, Moody's, and Fitch, ang credit ratings natin. Yun ba ay realistic na pangarap?
Okay, there are two things, By the way, one thing I noticed about the interest rate we pay, by the way, it's easy to check. Pag tinignan mo yung merkado for Philippine dollar 10-year bond, tingnan mo yung merkado for US dollar 10-year bond.
Okay.
Identical sila. 10 years, parehong dollar. Iba yung yields, iba yung interest rate. Anong ibig sabihin nun? By the way, right now, ang interest rate gap, wala pang 1%. Nung nasa NED ako, ang gap 6%. Nung nasa NED ako, ang tingin ng merkado, ang laking chance na hindi tayo magbabayad. So what I notice is this, even before the ratings agencies are acting, the markets are already behaving as though, long before our credit ratings improve, the yields drop. And I credit the last drop, I would credit to the midpoint of the Arroyo administration.
Arroyo admin. Okay. Okay.
So mas kaya yan kasi unang-una, ang tawag ko dito Tina. There is no alternative. ang papangit din yung mga naghahanap ng kung saan i-invest yung pera nila, yung mga retirees sa Germany, retirees sa kung saan-saan. Ang dami nilang bansa tinitingnan. Gagawin nila, ikakalat nila yung pera, pero kung natalo sila dito, may bawi sila dito. So, they have a very diversified fund. Ang importante, masama tayo doon sa basket of diversification. When I joined the central bank, a group from the Sovereign Fund of Norway came to me and said, we like the Philippine, by the way, this was panahon ni Pinoy, no? We like the Philippine economy. We are going to allocate money for stocks in the Philippines proportional to Philippines share in global GDP.
Okay.
Philippines share in market capitalization. Global market. Tapos sabi nila, we were intending to buy Philippine bonds proportional to your share in global GDP, but we decided not to buy. Much as we like it, we decided not to buy because of the 20% withholding tax. So yung mga ganyan pa. Pero yung dollar bond natin, attractive sa kanila. Okay. Yung peso bond, hindi masyado dahil may 20% withholding tax. But if I had time, I'll explain that why that's not necessarily a bad thing. So the important thing is we project very, very clearly what we intend to do. And people hopefully believe what we say.
All right.
Credibility. And if you have that, maybe the fixes in the tax system will not be as difficult as imagined. There are also other ways of increasing infrastructure that does not require tax, like PPP, private sector participation, and of course, increasing the role of local governments in
implementing. Ngayon, na-mention ninyo yung tax administration, parang critical na issue talaga to. Sabi ni Secretary Ben, gusto niyang tingnan muna yan ng mahusay. Pero ang sabi ng iba, okay lang naman magpataw ng dagdag na buwis basta mahuli yung mga tax evaders. May nakabimbing kaso si incoming President BBM, estate taxes na hindi nabayaran. Sa tingin niyo ba, by way of example or even as a policy issue, magkasundo na, bayaran niya yon?
I'd rather not comment on that.
Okay.
One lesson from central bank that wants to be independent is not to put noses too much in kasi kung doon sa iba, di pa kikialamang rin. So, I'd rather not comment on that.
All right. Okay. Sige, punta naman tayo dun sa may Bloomberg poll noong March 2022, 28 investors and analysts. At sa kanilang boto, ang mataas ang confidence ng merkado kay candidate Leni Robredo, 106 votes. Si President BBM, incoming President BBM, nasa 46 points lang ang nakuha. Ano tingin ninyo? Yun ba'y naayos nyo na? Have you started to build the confidence of the analysts and investors?
That only means that the President-elect ran a smarter campaign. He did not talk of pain during the election. But I think now that he got, I have my own theories why he got, got more than 50% before him.
All right. Okay.
But I have my own theory. But my theory is that the North votes and the South votes somehow became one.
All right.
Now that people will understand why things said during the campaign did not really be literally translated to policies. So that, and I think listening to the president in some of the videos, listening to the president-elect in some of the videos, they understand that. What I know is this: the Balistakan, Jokno, they are very pragmatic people. They know how to talk to politicians.
But they say na even if you can fix the economic household, the political system is broken. Puro dynasties, dami
I don't want to call it broken. I want to call it expensive.
Hindi naman ganun ka-expensive.
If you spend 300 million to win a position, either you are a great patriot or you intend to recover it.
Exactly.
So, can we fix it? Or maybe not. Can we progress without fixing it? Maybe yes. Can we become an economic miracle without fixing it? Most sure.
All right.
Is it good enough to be just not a good economy without becoming a miracle? Well, if you can somehow find ways of getting some of that largesse from economic growth to reach the poor, then it will be fine. So my view is that if somehow we can put up a system of safety nets and transfers, and we as a people protect it from,
Okay.
from the usual vultures, we will be all right.
From the usual vultures? Did I
Yes.
hear?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Prof. Philip, para sa inyo po, alam ko, ipinag-isip pa ninyo ng husto, ano po, dahil parang balik gobyerno o balik cabinet at balik pataas sa posisyon. Meron ba kayong non-negotiable o point of no return o hindi katanggap-tanggap na gusto maging basehan kung kayo ay mananatili sa pwesto o aalis ng administration?
If I'm told that si ganito, malakas na presidente, and I will do things that I cannot stomach, just to favor him, I'm too old for that.
Okay.
I'm too old for that. I am a man of low consumption. I'm happy with little things, and I don't want to. Well, by the way, I believe in the afterlife, and that's not a trade-off I'm willing to accept.
All right.
On the other hand, some sacrifices have to be made. I think, as they say, do not watch how they make sausages, because you will not want to eat them. It's the taste anyway. So I think, like, you have to be practical. There are certain political trade-offs you want to make, but I'm a bit worried when there are 25 deputy speakers. We don't need 25 deputy speakers. So there are deputy speakers because it affects the sharing of the work. But then it's our duty as citizens to call them out para hindi mangyari. Don't expect the president to be the one to enforce it. Kasi kailangan niya itong mga taong ito eh.
Okay. Pero sa tingin niyo ho ba'y matibay ang panghawak sa leadership ni incoming President BBM? Kasi sabi nila, kaunti nga yung nasabi niyang mga polisiya o proposal noong siya'y kandidato. Hindi umaattend sa mga debate. Hindi ho kaya magiging figurehead at yung mga tao nakapaligid sa kanya ang mamayani?
I don't know enough to be able to make an assessment. But anybody who's run such an intelligent campaign cannot be done.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So either that or he has a smart wife, right? Or what? No? But my point is, give him a chance. That's exactly why I am. In fact, I was thinking, nung pinload ni Benjok mo yung pangalan ko, I might have accepted. Although, but fear of my wife, reason I don't accept it.
All right.
Accept it.
Why?
So because you have to give him a chance because 58% of the people voted for him.
Yeah.
So
1 million votes out of 50 plus. Yeah. Voters. Okay.
So,
Sir Philip, may pangamba yung iba na baka yung piso sumadlak ang value vis-a-vis the dollar. May depreciation bang namumuo?
okay. Dalawang pa niya. Sometimes depreciation is good. If it's one-off and not to be seen to be a continuous process.
Okay.
If it's a continuous process, wala nang maniniwala sa inflation target namin. If the peso is continuously depreciating by 5% month after month after month after month, who will believe that our inflation target of 4% can be achieved?
All right.
But one of one, and then stabilizes, that could be actually a healthy adjustment because mangyayari dyan, may natural protection of our domestic industries from imports. And ang ating mga OFW, ang ating exporters are sufficiently rewarded. Okay, and the beauty of our central bank is it has, until the pandemic, it has never printed money to support government. It printed money only to buy foreign exchange.
All right. Okay.
So the reserves of the central bank, and by the way, to me, we owe this to Governor Tetangco. He had the courage to believe in what he's doing. Say, believe. Basta nag-appreciate. 45 billion, naging 86 billion. 86 billion. Tapos later on, under the subsequent governors, naging 105. So we have capability to prevent the exchange rate fluctuations from undoing all the good things you're doing.
Okay, all right. Sa panghuli, Prof. Philip, paano nyo i-encourage pa na ma-inspire at magkaroon ng mas matibay na confidence ang merkado? BSP Governor, ano sa tingin ninyo yung inyong top line tasks na gustong ma-achieve?
Okay, as I said, the 3 pillars are.
Okay.
If we cannot meet the 3 pillars, I should not be there. I call me incompetent.
All right. Okay.
The 3 pillars, as I said, are price stability, banking and financial stability, and an efficient and safe payment system. And if we can make it inclusive, that's the goal. Now, and coordination between fiscal and monetary authorities, because independence doesn't mean absence of coordination. Sometimes the international markets go crazy. Okay. And when they go crazy, we are the market maker of last resort.
All right. Okay.
But the good thing is when the markets go crazy, they don't remain crazy for very, very long. So sooner or later they return to
get back to their senses and reinvest or return.
They panic. Okay, let me give you an analogy. There are 10 buildings, and you're told one of them is on fire. You don't know which. You're in one of the stone buildings. Won't you run out of your building?
Okay, yeah.
You run out of your building because just in case it's one of the 10. Because after all, you can return. The mistake of running out of the building is very low compared to being burned because you can. Right? Ganyan ang markets. And this is why it's very wonderful that according to the International Monetary Fund, our reserves are 2.3 times more than adequate. I'm confident with the current economic managers, the buffers are buffers. It will not be seen as a substitute for good behavior.
All right. Okay. Huling tanong po. Ang issue ba ng corruption at human rights violations, governance and transparency, magiging mahalaga na tuntungan ng confidence ng merkado? Kasi kasama din ito sa mga bagahe ni incoming President Bongbong Marcos.
Sadly, there are many things you desire regardless of their effects on the economy.
Okay.
The effects of, for instance, you look at Chile under Pinochet. It was a very repressive government, but it made the economy progress. Personally, I'm not willing to pay that price. So what I'm saying is, repression does not necessarily mean slower economic growth.
Okay, all right.
But even if, my personal view is, even if repression can be used to make the economy grow faster, that's not a path I'm willing to take.
All right.
Okay. But some things are more important than money. Okay. So, but it's wrong to say that these things that happen outside the economic sphere not naturally are negative effects. In fact, the interesting question is, if they have positive effects on the economy, will you use them? You should not. Okay. What's the other one? What's the other question?
Rights violations. Kasi some of our donor agencies.
These are things I am against, even if they are good for the economy.
Okay.
They are bad for the economy. All the more that I'm against it.
Okay.
But we as a people should unite to prevent it from happening. And I think the conditions now are much different with social media and everything. It's hard to do these things and hide them.
Hindi masisikreto, ano po. So, inaasahan ninyo na pag nagtapos 2022 to 2028, anong klaseng administrasyon ang maiiwang legacy ng Marcos government?
What I'm saying is so far so good. Of course, it's self-serving, because I am part
of the team.
But even if you remove me from the picture, it looks so far so good.
All right. Okay, kahit na toxic pa rin ang debate sa social media, ano po? Mga
Opo,
kakamping. Okay, maraming salamat po, Professor Felipe Medalla. Dati hong Monetary Board member at ngayon incoming governor ng Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Keep safe, sir. At
Ikaw rin, Malo. Ikaw rin.